Bitcoin Suisse is ramping up its presence in Liechtenstein with a new hire, Mauro Casellini. He's currently the head of blockchain at Bankfreak in Liechtenstein, and he's joining Bitcoin Suisse as the CEO of their Liechtenstein arm starting July 1st. And I've got him here in the studio today, and he's planning to tell us how he plans to bridge Switzerland and Liechtenstein. Let's actually start from the beginning. Who approached who? Was it your idea to move to Bitcoin Suisse in the first place?
Bitcoin Suisse is in the end a partner, a client, and much more from Bankfreak since a long time. So on both sides, we offer services to each other, and therefore it was always a very close contact with them. I was very often in Zug with them. And then about 3.5 years ago, they first reached out to me, asked me, Mauro, would that be a possibility to work together to make something more actively with you? And so in the end, it was from their side, but it was always something I was thinking about.
Are there any hard feelings in terms of this move? Because Bitcoin Suisse also competes with banks.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's for me a very hard feeling. And I worked now since 5.5 years at Bankfreak. I was one of the guys who was able to build there something big in the blockchain space. I'm really close to them still. And therefore, yes, it's now going to a player in the market that is some kind of competition to banks, but otherwise it's a provider to banks. So it's not only competition, it's really a provider that offers services to banks, to financial intermediaries, to professional players in the market.
You were leading the team at Bankfreak, one of the most open, blockchain-friendly / crypto-friendly banks in Liechtenstein. There was a sizable team there. What is going to happen to the gap that you will leave behind starting July 1st?
Yes, definitely. So Bankfreak will definitely focus on digitalization, fintech companies, payment services, and blockchain. So it will stay the same. It will definitely not be gone. And we have a lot of good guys at Bankfreak. Especially, I have some really good guys in the team that will be there, make some new things. A lot of things will possibly change in their positions, but it's very difficult for me to say what will really happen. But I can say it will stay the same. Bankfreak will stay on the same services and will be actively in the blockchain and fintech space for a long time, I'm sure.
And you will be looking forward to this new chapter at Bitcoin Suisse, leading their Liechtenstein team. They actually founded this in December of last year. Is it a strategic move of them to ramp up their presence in this area?
Definitely, it's a strategic move from them because as a Swiss company, it's very difficult to offer services to European clients. And from Liechtenstein, it's much easier because Liechtenstein is a part of the European economic area. And therefore, you can passport your services much easier to all other European countries. And therefore, it will be the hub to have access to European clients.
How big is that team going to look like? Because from what you've told me, it seems that that's going to be quite pivotal in their future strategy, using Liechtenstein as a gateway to the rest of Europe.
It's very difficult to say. It's something we really need to sort out and we work on. There will definitely be people there, work there. There will be different roles actively there, but definitely we will also try to use Switzerland with the good players who are already there, the good employees who are there, the trading who is already there, that we do not need to build everything again. So we use what's already there and build new things to be able to have access to their clients.
It's a very interesting time right now for them to be hiring. Last year, we came out of crypto winter. It was one of the worst years on record for cryptocurrencies. Many companies took a hit, including the revenues of Bitcoin Suisse. Do you think it's a smart time to even be ramping up the team or hiring at this point?
I'm quite sure it's a very, very good step because we need to focus in that space to build something bigger, to build something that is sustainable, that works, that is legit, with good players, with good employees. And that's also why I really like what Bitcoin Suisse has done the last years. They hired a lot of good senior bankers who know how banking works, who are open for new businesses and who are happy to learn also from the tech guys. And they now really work together, offer new services, working on new services. And that's what I really like and what I really enjoy to be then a part of it.
And digging into the responsibilities, one of the tasks you had over at Bankfreak was trying to open up bank accounts for companies in the blockchain space. How is that going to look like in your new role at Bitcoin Suisse?
So my responsibilities will definitely be there on one side as a CEO of Bitcoin Suisse Liechtenstein to build the space to build the gateway to Europe to hire new or to onboard new clients. And on the other side, I'll also be a part of the ISP, Institutional Services and Products team from Lothar Cheriak at Bitcoin Suisse, Switzerland, to build up their new services, to build up new services for institutional clients, for also normal clients. And therefore, that's what we are building there, or what I am building. On one side, new services, on the other side, new areas, new regions, new clients.
It seems like you have a lot of weight on your shoulders in terms of this position. What are you actually worried about, or what do you foresee as challenges to your role?
As is normal, definitely I'm worried about the responsibility and if it will sort out, if it will work out. But I'm a guy who really motivates myself with seeing tough things, seeing things that seem really difficult and focus on it. But I'm worried that it's a really big responsibility, and I need to be able to be good enough for that. But I'm sure we can work that out.
Are the roadblocks on the regulatory side, or is it being able to keep up with the balance sheet of Bitcoin Suisse, since they are starting to release figures?
Yeah, definitely. It's also on the regulatory side. It's a lot of work to be regulatory compliant. That's definitely something that Bitcoin Suisse is focusing since years. They are offering services that are only regulatory compliant, that are clean, that are proper. And to be really there up on track, a lot of things will change in the next years in Switzerland, in Europe, all over the world. Therefore, you always need to be sure that what you are offering is good and legally compliant. And therefore, you need good guys who know how the regulations work in the different areas of the world.
You're going to Bitcoin Suisse with a lot of expectation and responsibility. What do you want to change at Bitcoin Suisse that you think that they're not doing well enough right now?
Bitcoin Suisse is, from my perspective, doing a really good job. And
otherwise they wouldn't need to.
Exactly. But definitely what I'm sure is that what they are also now working on with Liechtenstein to grow their business all over Europe, to get new clients, get big clients. And that's what we will work on. And that will be one of my major jobs, to work on new clients, on new services, and especially to offer services all over Europe. Because at the moment, as you also said, it's really that crypto valley, it's Switzerland, everyone knows, but we would be happy to bring that spirit all over Europe and find new clients.
Bitcoin Suisse and Bankfreak, they're emphasizing that they're not in competition with each other. In fact, they want to work with each other. You've already released a crypto certificate. So what other products should we be expecting throughout the year in partnership between the two?
There will definitely be different things. It's very difficult to say at the moment because we are working on a lot of different ideas and we need to look if they work out regulatory-wise. But definitely it's a partnership. As I say, Bitcoin Suisse is a client of Bankfreak, and the other way. Bankfreak is a client of Bitcoin Suisse for brokerage services, and on the other side for bank accounts. So we need each other, we work with each other, and we plan to work even stronger together.
You've had your finger on the pulse in terms of Liechtenstein and blockchain for a while now, so you know the space inside out. What do you actually see as the selling point of Liechtenstein when we already have well-developed hubs, say in Zug or Zurich or Geneva? How can Liechtenstein stand out then?
It's really good that you say, because it's all these hubs, they work together with us. It's for me really funny to always come back to this crypto valley who is now all over Switzerland and also Liechtenstein, because Liechtenstein has one really big positive thing, and that's the access to the European Economic Area, access to Europe. Therefore, if you would like to offer a service that is some kind regulated in Europe, you need an entity in Europe. You need to be compliant with the European regulation. And that's what you can do through Liechtenstein. And you are pretty near to Zug, 1 hour drive, Zurich, 1 hour drive. So it works really closely together.
But when we ask people, think of a blockchain hub around the world. Countries like Switzerland and Singapore come to mind.
Exactly.
What do you think more can be done to boost Liechtenstein on the global stage?
Yeah, that's definitely something, for example, I'm working on in a different role. I'm also a member of the board of the Crypto Country Association. It's the Crypto Valley Association of Liechtenstein, where we really work on to make that bigger, that the people see us, and not only as a part of the Crypto Valley, to see us as really also an own country that has its own regulation. And it's a lot of work. It's a small country, we know that, and we're working on that. And I think also the Blockchain Act, who will come out hopefully pretty soon, or will be active pretty soon, will definitely help for that a lot.
The risk of money laundering as well as terror financing with crypto assets remains to be an issue. You mentioned that Liechtenstein is a small country. Does that also imply that they have less resources at hand to deal with such issues?
It's difficult to say at which player you look, but for example, if you look at Bankfreak, they have hired a lot of new guys only in the compliance department who look at these transactions, who check what with this Bitcoin happened in the past or with these cryptocurrencies. And therefore, I'm quite sure that what Liechtenstein at the moment is doing is really, really good work because they always work also pretty close with the regulation, with the FMA.
It has also attracted a different reputation of being more shady.
Definitely. In the past, there were things in Liechtenstein who are now definitely solved, especially if you look at the regulation. Again, Liechtenstein is a part of the European Economic Area, and therefore they are bound to European regulation, to AAIA, FATCA, and all that stuff that is there, that they need to send the information to the other countries. That's active in Liechtenstein, and even sooner than it was in Switzerland. And therefore, Liechtenstein made things different in the past, possibly, but definitely they are now, since a lot of years, focusing on the European regulation, making it big, making it better, and therefore, again, fintech, blockchain, and all that things are really an amazing thing for Liechtenstein because they are sure that they, with their regulation, with their stable political situation, and with also Switzerland next to it, it can really get big and make something really interesting out there.
They're really trying to push in this area, and one of the ideas that has come up is also the notion of the Blockchain Act, which many people are eagerly waiting for, but still there have not been many updates since they announced the draft. As an insider in Liechtenstein, can you give us an update on where that is right now, when we can expect to see some sort of movement?
Exactly, there is now the official step that is called Bericht und Antrag, where all the regulatory or the politician parties look at the act and the next steps go on. That's also where we jump in as Bankfreak, also Crypto Counter Association, who go to that party, speak with them, explain to them again in detail what blockchain is, what the act can really make possible. And it's really interesting to see how good they are looking at and how much they learned in between the last year from the technology, and I'm quite sure it will work out.
Do you think that they should be speeding things up? Since many see that as a potential model for how they can introduce regulation into their system.
Yeah, and for example, that's also what we hear a lot, that other countries are looking at the draft, who is already out there, to learn what Liechtenstein is doing, what they could do out of it. And that's really what I like, to see that a small country like Liechtenstein is building an act that possibly could be used all over Europe in the future, or they can use a lot of parts out of it for all over Europe. And that's what I really like in this concept.
Mauro, to put you on the spot and to finish up, if you had to suggest to a blockchain startup, is Switzerland or Liechtenstein going to be your pick?
That's really a good question, but it's tough, especially, as I said, if you are working on something that is not in relation to a regulatory issue, then Switzerland is definitely good because you can use Switzerland, it's not regulated, or you do not need to be regulated all over Europe, therefore it's fine. If you work on something that is a payment or whatever, where in the end you could possibly be attached to European regulation, you definitely should look at Liechtenstein or use both places. There are a lot of companies from Switzerland that are now opening subsidiaries in Liechtenstein because they would like to grow in their businesses, like, for example, Bitcoin Suisse.
Mauro, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, it was a pleasure.